Now, in order to start the conversion process from this table-based form to an accessible form, I'm going to use the table-based form as the working model. So now I know this thing works, so I don't actually want to edit this. I'm just going to create a new file from this one. I'm going to save this as contact-2. So now I have a new file, and I could mess this up all I want, because I could always refer to my contact.html as the main thing. And I'm going to start by deleting all of the stuff inside of this thing. So all that code that we copy and pasted from Responsomatic, we're just going to get rid of over here. Now, the first thing that starts any form is the actual form tag. Now, if you remember, from the intro of our form, is that the form tag had some very specific information here that we need to provide. Form had the encoding method, the post method in there, and where it's sending the script to, which is the mail.php at Responsomatic. So I'm just going to take this first line of code, copy it obviously, and then paste it right in there. And I'm going to close out my form. So now I have the beginning of a form. Okay, this is just in red over here in Dreamweaver. Good. Now, the next thing we're going to have is, well, we have to logically group all of these elements into one unit. So we're going to use this thing called the Fieldset attribute. We don't have this in our original. In the original thing, we had, oh, you know what? I'm jumping the gun with that Fieldset even. Before we even bother doing that, we need to take all of this important information over here, which are those hidden values that actually have our account ID, our form ID, and what variables of our form are required. So let's just bring those over now before we even mess with the Fieldset. And there we are. You know what? You don't necessarily need to have these in the div. There's no particular reason for that. So I'm just going to just take them out. The reason why they were put in a div tag before is because they have the way they set up their layout. But we certainly don't need that. So here we are. So the very first few lines you should have in your form so far, in your accessible form, is the form that has the actual method and what it's going to do, and you have the other three fields, which are your account ID, your form ID, and the required variables, which aren't even available yet, but that's what's saying are going to be the required variables. I think the other thing we could do at this point is just set up the Fieldset. Now the Fieldset is an HTML tag that basically just logically groups together a set of input elements. So if you had our form is only going to have one field set, and I'm going to close it out like this, but you could have multiple field sets in one form. And think about it, if you had a form that was asking for someone's personal information, their contact info, and you had like some survey questions you'd ask, you could probably logically divide those two into the one field set being the contact info, personal info, and the other information being the survey questions, right? And well, how does Fieldset know which is which? Well, there's actually a tag for that, and that's called the legend tag. And the legend tag is always going to be inside the field tag. Now, we're only going to use the legend tag once because we only have one field set. And I'm going to do legend, and then it's legend, and then just, that's actually the tag. I was thinking it's going to be a 4, but it's not. Legend, and then we close it, and then we put, what's this legend for? And then I'll go contact information. And I'll close that, and that's it. So far we have the very, very base skeleton model for our form. We set up the form, which everything's going to be inside of. So actually, if I do the way I like to indent stuff, everything inside of this form, including those very important input, those hidden input values, which are your account name, form ID, and the required variables. And then we have a field set, which logically groups together the input values that we're about to set up in a second, and then we have legend, and legend describes what our field set actually is.